Assalamu alaikum, kif halek, kivakum shlonek, merhaba, konnichiwa, ni hao, namaste, privyet, bonjour, buongiorno, saludos, hola, dag, hashbarav, yak shemash, je suis Ali, Anna Alex. I am the CEO of Orca Ocean Capital Management. Shout out to my partner, Ronnie, BTS, and an electronic dance music DJ. In my intro, I feel the US economy is a lot like this, the boogeyman with The Exorcist and Jason. Again, salam alaikum, kif halek, kifakum shlonek, marhaba, konnichiwa, ni hao, namaste, privyet, bonjour, buongiorno, saludos, hola, dag, hajrev, yak shimash, je suis Ali, Anna Alex, CEO of Orca Ocean Capital. Shout out to my partner, Ronnie, BTS, and electronic dance music DJ. I have so many notes, you all. I think these videos are going to have to come out in a series, but let's just start with the US economy, Federal Reserve, monetary system, etc. I conjure a rate hike 0.25 in July based on the rhetoric of Jerome Powell. And before people start attacking the Fed, start with personal accountability. We have a 70% GDP economy. Again, I never know where the 38% went, but nonetheless, that's consumer responsibility. We have over $1 trillion in credit card debt with the average carrier of at least 7K plus. I'm going to just read the statistics. I have these memorized, but I figured just because of my ADHD, Asperger's, and all in between, we're just going to read it out. We have had over 1 million jobless claims monthly. We had 237,000 to be precise last week, unless the numbers are modified. And let's just keep going. 15,000 auto repos a day. 1 in 4,000 homes have a foreclosure attached to it. So from Texas, California to Florida, housing, little capitulation. 43 million Americans are on food stamps. 42.9 Americans are living in poverty. We have, 32 trillion in debt. Who cares, right? The U.S. debt to GDP, 122.8%. Congratulations to anyone who learned how to debt restructure well. Anybody on a committee from Ghana to Zambia restructuring their debt? Anybody worldwide that's restructured emerging market debt, we might be needing to call you all for expertise. And by we, I mean the United States government. 1.3 credit card debt, U.S. trade deficits over 1 trillion, and China trade deficits over 301 billion. Granted, I saw where China's exports lowered in the past month. I wonder why. Because when the American consumer is using buy now, pay later for groceries, and no, I'm not saying that in a hyperbolic manner, factual, there's a problem. Let's be very clear about something. The stock market is not linear to the actual economy in the USA. It is completely separate. And finance doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. If you want a friend, get a dog. I am seeing many of you portfolio money managers just missing things. Let's continue. 42.9 million living in poverty. I've gone through that. The banks, interestingly enough, passed the stress test. Good. I'm so happy. Need to say, I'm not forgetting the 4 banks that failed in March that had also passed the stress test. Therefore, the Fed person, I believe his name is Mr. Barr, good for you, who wants to increase capital, go for it. I like him. I do wonder what the world's going to look like, by the way, when the Russia-Ukraine war does end. Shout out to JP Morgan and BlackRock for going into the Ukraine to start something. We'll see how that goes, probably very well, being that Jamie Dimon is a brilliant-minded man with let's not forget, troubled asset relief program under him, and Larry Fink is beyond brilliant. Teach me your ways. So that's also, and then also what will it look like if China takes Taiwan? Because we keep seeing the military theater, and I think these are legitimate questions. U.S. in a drought with the lowest wheat production since the 1950s, yet the Ukraine is wheat export. Russia it's got the 4th largest stockpile of gold, and it seems China really, really is taking the cake, yet all other central banks are as well. And this leads me to more things that I'm off the script about. Gold-backed currencies with BRICS. Now, I'm learning the term de-dollarization. People have not obviously read the 2014 Russia-China project with the amendments, because now it's become a term of clickbait, just to use when people, some who might be watching this video, have no original thought process of their own, therefore just want to use something that does not apply. For example, Argentina just paid debt using the yuan. We need to look at certain things, or China just used, or the Emirates used the yuan for oil. There's a difference between the global world economy and trade and currencies. That's why they exist. Countries have currencies, but not every fucking thing, you all, is de-dollarization. That just doesn't make damn sense. And if so, you haven't read the amendments. You haven't read the actual project that Russia and China put into place. Now, when you see Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and then all of the countries that want to join, red flags are flying. And people need to keep in mind, even if the dollar loses the world reserve currency, it is not the first time in history. So we have a lot of doomsday prepper fear-mongers. However, de-dollarization is absolutely the goal, in my opinion, of the modern day Mao, and I never can tell what Putin is thinking. Feel free for any of you all to drop in the C-section below. However, I do find it interesting that Russia has a little bit of a say in this Venezuela opposition. So before any of you zealots want to start talking about free Venezuela, look at the IOUs from Citgo being used for the opposition. And by the way, don't really hate on Nicolas Maduro. This guy has got $5 billion in the UK, and they're still not giving it to him. You see what happened when we invaded Afghanistan and took their gold and they harmed our Marines? This guy's been suing the UK for his gold, and it went back to the courts, and he just keeps suing. And so, in my opinion, this is an act of democracy, using the legal system instead of doing something so egregious like what happened when we withdrew from Afghanistan and taking their gold. Yikes. Yeah, the opposition party, IOUs with Citgo, it's not going to end well. Okay, let's keep going. Why I see a lot of people as well asking, why won't they just call this a recession, etc.? Well, because America has either apathy or America has panic. And no one, being the FDIC has, I would say 11, is it $1 billion toxic assets now from having to bail out? Yeah, there we go. Toxic waste loans. Let's be precise. Because we cannot afford to have massive bank withdrawals. And also, people forget bail-ins are always an option. They're not illegal. And we don't maybe want to test that market yet. So just in case Americans actually give a shit, which more than likely they don't, because they're making TikTok, they're on Reddit or Tinder, or literally anything but stewarding finances or looking at quantitative data, analytics, etc. So just in case, just say nothing, just use words, make shit up like silent recession. And what's going to happen as we see is we're going to see the sectors fall like a Splash Mountain ride at Disney, it's boom, boom, boom. And that's how the media is going to present this. Like, okay, we have a recession in trucking. Okay, now we have a recession in manufacturing. It's just going to be one after the other to make it look kind of pretty and not nefarious or pervasive or give anybody an insidious thought it could ever happen to them, right? Because we don't want mass mayhem or chaos. So I'm not mad at the mass media for not saying what is very obvious to anybody that has been out and about or just even assesses with people. However, slabs, my fave, student loan asset-backed securities. Nobody, and LinkedIn, stop it. Stop. Sorry, told you I'm on one today. You all complaining about student loans. I worked so hard. Okay, first off, I didn't take one, so I'm not even a part of that. Didn't need to. But you all, there's a reason why there's such a hyper focus, and it's called slabs, student loan asset-backed securities. It's interesting that many of you have asked. I've not heard of them. Maybe just because I'm a weird reader that likes to just do nothing but read, and read some more. They exist, and guess who's holding the most? Our government. Wonder why our government would like them to be bailed out so badly? And not to mention, the average median income was in 2000 was 31K. Now it's about 35K. And the average home price is 428K. How, with the mortgage right now, it's sitting about 7.2. It depends on where you look, and that's with perfect credit. So, yikes. Big Short 2.0 on the way, especially. Let's not even get into the commercial mortgage-backed securities market. No, thank you. I don't need to have a meltdown on camera. But continuing on, 1.8 trillion to be precise, with 40,000 per student that owes loan payments. And remember those little mortgage forbearance thingies they were giving out during COVID for people to just be able to stop payments on things? Apparently they did something where people could stop paying student loans. So now you're going to see discretionary spending completely stop when you have 16% of America that has not had to make a student loan payment have to begin. Not to mention the mortgage forbearances still seem to be going on. It's just yikes, 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 yikes. And so let's go back. Okay, where are we? Look at this, you all. This is insanity. Oh yeah, I keep seeing articles about China being the second largest economy in the world. Are we sure about that? Because our 4th of July is not one of independence, it is codependence. Our fireworks were from China. So I need someone to explain it to me with data, hard data. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't, they can be manipulated, as we've seen multiple times through all the paradigms of life. But nonetheless, break it down and make it make sense, because we're the largest debtor nation. They're the largest creditor nation. So even though the yuan is up and rising, the IMF still essentially identifies 5 currencies as one: the yen, the yuan, the pound, the euro, and the dollar. It's a central bank digital currency race, which brings me into Fed Now. And I had written something last night, and when I say Fed Now, I'm not criticizing anything. I've got a really dumb question. Feel free to answer, anybody. Who paid for this? Who asked for this? How long has this been going on? Has it been beta tested? If so, how has it been beta tested? Is there a hackathon? I have questions. I don't think it's unfair for me to ask you who's paying for this. And the Federal Reserve is a private entity from the government as well. So is this U.S. government owned and then run by the Fed? I'm confused. And the website, great job. I'm not hating on anybody. In fact, everyone that I know or have met that works for any of the Fed banks, you all should be thanking, because they are busting their ass to make sure liquidity is in these regional banks. Okay, so thank your fellow Fed regional bank owner, regardless of what you feel about a central bank system or not. Okay, I personally would love to run it one day, like Alan Greenspan, but just saying. I do have an issue, because there's so many tech components that are necessary, and being that we have had so many data breaches on government agencies in the past month, to me, this looks like open season for a massive hack. I mean, even the banks have had hacks. So we look at Fed Now, and then I say, is this the way to hyperbolically beta test a central bank digital currency, how the bank transactions are going to work? Because they had to say, we're not replacing PayPal, we're not replacing Zelle. Okay, then what exactly is the function? Do you all have the cybersecurity and measures to be able to run it? And what are the back and front door engineers going to be paid for this? Because to scale something to the American population that seemed to pop up overnight. And hey, if you all have been hiding this under an NDA for over 10 years, kudos to you. I apologize. And independent and dissent esprit pour moi. Je ne sais pas. I'll just say, I don't know shit if you guys have been doing that. Amazing. However, if this is something we've thrown together overnight, the best engineers, the best people you're going to find are not those that are 12-year college degreed white men. And I have nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying it as a blanket statement, meaning the best people in tech and hackers are usually college dropouts that, I'll just leave it at that. Use your imagination. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, several come to mind, Steve Jobs, Wozniak. Go to GitHub, go to Postman. And finance, stop being so hostile towards what you do not know. Tech industry is one of the nicest spaces to be, and I am so blessed. And the fact and the notion that the tech industry really embraced me. which is why digital assets to central bank digital currencies to even regular fiat currencies, and looking at emerging markets and seeing how could I arbitrage, triangular arbitrage, anything like that. But moreover, hypothetically, allegedly, protect purchase power. Because for those managing ultra high net worth individual portfolios, are you all just going to pretend nothing is happening until they're calling and asking, and then you're going, yeah, well, there's nothing we can really do? Because I don't like people that do the bare minimum. Slide into my DMs, let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you part 2 and 3.